your co-host. Well, wow. I'm your host, Michael Armagon, and this week we have our co-host Chris
Hey.
and Vicquell.
Hello.
So we've got some good topics this week, as usual, and we want to start off. Well, the topics that we're going to be talking about are ad blockers, and if they are good or not, wearable phones, and well, sonars. Can people actually use them to steal your passwords for your phones and get into them? We'll get into that in just a sec. But we're going to start off with ad blockers. And this is actually something that Chris is more in tune with. But for most of us, I would think that because of the amount of ads that are on the internet, most of us tend to either install a extension or something that pretty much allows us to avoid all the pop-ups and little advertisements, especially since, they have some not so savory ones if you go into some not so savory sites. But even if you're just using it for casual browsing, when you're going to websites, you can sometimes be overwhelmed by random advertisements that sometimes track you from website to website. Let's say you look up something on Amazon, and then you go about and you just find a bunch of stuff that are related to that search all throughout wherever you're searching on the internet. Or, if you are on WhatsApp or Facebook and you're searching up some information or some website that uses Facebook's API for ads, you may find a bunch of stuff across the web that might be related to that. So sometimes it can be beneficial because then you might find something that's interesting, at least in my opinion. But at the same point, most of the times I'm actually ending up just using an ad blocker to block pretty much everything. And it's interesting, Mozilla Firefox, which used to be the top ranking browser for most persons a few years ago, is actually
A few years ago. That's ain't been the top for a while.
yeah,
I think that was that was when I was in probably elementary, junior high. After senior high, everybody started using Chrome.
high school for me. But yeah, like that was the de facto stuff back then, and now they're actually building it in. I think Opera actually had it built in at one point as well. But what they're doing now, they're blocking ads, they're blocking pop-ups, and they're doing something similar to what Apple did with their iPhones and Macs with the new the new versions of the software that's coming out as of this year. So what's happening with that is they're actually blocking the ability to essentially track you across websites. And so there's pretty much stuff that's being blocked here. You actually have the ads and then you have the tracking. And Chris, can you actually delve into this? What's the real difference for us?
So annoying. I mean, essentially, you have ads and then you have trackers. Ads don't track you, but you do get tracked in order to deliver ads. So if you're blocking an ad, you're not blocking the ability to track you. We still know. I mean, we can still pretty much know basic information about you and stuff like that. And I don't know, because I work in the industry. I work in e-commerce, so I'm literally the guy who tracks people for the website or whatever. And it's annoying because I think people have a misunderstanding about what's being tracked, and they think that, you know all this about me, whatever. Companies don't know about you personally. They know about your habits, but all of that get pools into just numbers and data. And then literally that's it. I don't know that Jeffrey from this down the road bought these shoes. I mean, I can tell that, hey, a person from this address, bought it, but most of the personal identifying information, all that stuff gets encrypted. There's no way that I can pull up and get any personal information. The personal information is really only used in terms of email addresses and numbers. The only time they'd ever be used is they would only be used to identify you as you. That would be it, and that would be the encrypted version of it. So pretty much the encrypted hash key that would be the result of your email, that encrypted hash key, that would then check to see that, hey, does this encrypted hash key match with the encrypted hash key that your email would have made from this other place here? And then like, okay, it matches, then you're this one user. Like you would be that encrypted hash key, that is what you're known as. Like, so we're not gonna know, oh hey, you're Vicquell or you're Michael, we know you by this encrypted hash key. So it's kind of useless in terms of like tracking. Like it's not like, even though we use the word track, it's not like someone's like peeping outside of your house and watching you go around. That data is just to actually benefit you. So for example, with the site that we run, we would know, hey, you come, like we sell shoes, we sell footwear. So we would know, hey, you come on the site, and if you look for whatever shoes, or based on the shoes you look at, we're like, okay, well, hey, you looked at these type of shoes, so you must have an interest in the type of shoes. So when you were to leave or go anywhere or this and that, if you were to see an ad, then it would tailor that ad to say like, oh, hey, we know that you went and you looked at these different shoes, so we'll show you shoes like this because you seem to be interested in it. And that's pretty much all tracking does. So a lot of times people, and this is why a lot of people are like, oh, because Facebook is amazing at this. Facebook is probably the best in this in the game right now. And that's why a lot of people be like, oh, I mean, everyone has experienced it, where you've been, when like you'll be saying, oh, hey, I just thought about this, and all of a sudden I'm seeing ads on Instagram and Facebook, and I never like I never did anything about this. So why is Facebook doing this? Facebook is at the point where they can, it is so ridiculous what they can do with this information. It's insane. But all of it is encrypted. Facebook doesn't really sell your data. What they do is they sell you. That is what they do. They would be like, hey, because, okay, so from using Facebook in the backend, what I can do is I can limit and say, well, market this ad to people who are interested in these things. And Facebook will be like, oh, okay, well, here's all the people that we have that are interested in these things, and we'll send your ad to them. That is how they get ads, and that is how they market you, and that is how they sell your data per se. They don't really sell your data. That's why they could get away with it. So when they're in court, they're like, oh, you're selling data. They can say without a doubt they don't sell data, because they don't sell data. However, they give their advertisers the option of then now marketing or targeting these specific set of people based on likes or interests or anything like that. And so now whenever their Facebook code is on any site, which a lot of sites are, like Facebook code is like on everywhere. Great products.
Yeah.
Someone's in the chat like, oh, great hair products with Michelle Bailey. So whenever you go, like if you go on a site, like if you go on any site, you're instantly tagged as being on that site. And so for example, if you look up like a gray hair product or like, and here's the difference where Facebook gets very weird with Facebook, because what Facebook does that other people can't do, but what they don't have access to is Facebook can take your like stuff you talk about in chat, stuff you send about like on like all these like on Instagram, pages you like on Facebook, like even talking to different chat programs on Instagram, on WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger. They can take those and they can assign like, it's not the actual word, but they look for like keywords. So for example, if you're talking about a brand, they'll be like, oh, okay, well, you're interested in this brand simply because you mentioned that brand name. If you mentioned that product, oh, you're interested in this product simply because you mentioned that product name. Like, it's encrypted, so all of it is being applied to your encrypted chat. All of it is being applied to your encrypted ID. So because it's being applied to your encrypted ID, they can get away with saying, oh, hey, we're not really saving any data, it's all encrypted. And so they don't have access to that. They can't pull up and say, well, they can't pull up and say, well, hey, Vicquell looked at this. They don't know. They can't search for that because it's not there. But her data is like in a like slew of like list of like people who are interested in this, like her encrypted ID is there inside. Hey, people who are interested in Apple products. Wearable is right there. Her encrypted ID is there. So anytime they say, well, hey, if you want to if you want to advertise to people who are interested in Apple, what they'll do is they'll go to that list. Hey, pick up all the people who are tagged with Apple, and we'll just get all these encrypted IDs who are tagged with Apple, and then it'll just market straight to them. And that is how they get around it, using encryption like that. So there's no danger per se to individuals, because you can't leverage that data against someone unless you break that encryption. And people don't often break those encryptions. What happens is people save that data in bad ways, which Google is very much against, which I actually commend Google for. Google will stop supporting your site completely. They will drop you like the drop of a hat if you're breaking a lot of those regulations and rules. Like if you have any type of personal information, just like text documents and stuff like that, and their bots pick that up, they will send you a warning. They'll be like, yeah, change this, otherwise we will drop all support for your site. And that's terrible, especially if you have like if you have AdWords running and stuff like that, and like all kind of programs and stuff like, well, not AdWords anymore, it's called Google Ads now. Then yeah, like you will lose all of that, and it's terrible because organic search is like the number one source of traffic for most sites. So it's pretty bad to lose that. Someone's asking Selena Archer, can you explain the recent lawsuit? Is it about encryption? I think you mean the GPDR. I'm probably mixing those letters up. What, GDPR?
GDPR.
One of those. Yes, GDPR. That only applies to Europe. It doesn't apply to anyone outside of Europe, really. And no, it doesn't apply to encryption. What that is that's pretty much saying yes and no, I guess. I haven't really checked up much on it simply because it doesn't apply to my job. Like we don't market in Europe at all, so it really doesn't apply to us. But essentially what you have to do is you have to tell people that you're tracking them whenever you're doing it. And I think there's also an opt-out ability as well that you have to give them. So that's, to me, I do not like that. I think it's silly, it's dumb. It's people are passing these laws and they don't fully understand exactly all the technology behind it, and a lot of people are spreading kind of like a lot of fear about it, about tracking itself. There's nothing scary about tracking. There's nothing dangerous about tracking. Ad blocking itself, yeah, block all the ads. I don't care. I block all ads on my personal stuff. I don't care. I don't at work because I have to check our ads, so sometimes I'll have to like browse around and see it. But ads are annoying, and it drives me up a wall. Like anytime when they come up with, oh hey, let's do a pop-up, I'm the first in the meeting to be like, nah, we know the pop-up. Pop-ups are tacky, stop doing those. Like, nah, those are intrusive, those are annoying. So those pop-up ads, I'm like, nah, block them. They're annoying. They're terrible. But tracking is honestly the point now where, I mean, I can go on Google Analytics and I can look through it and just, I can't find personal information, but that information is very necessary, and that information actually benefits the customer way more than hurts the customer ever. Like, it's not, no one can like take that and like use it against you like straight out of the gun. Like, that's not going to happen. But it is way so beneficial. I mean, the things that we can do simply with that information is ridiculous. That type of information is the stuff that, when you come on a site and then, we instantly can like, so you like fill in your stuff here and then you go back and then you come back, we can have all your stuff preloaded and fill in. Like, you're removing those type of abilities by blocking tracking. Like, you're removing that. And so you're actually losing a lot of the features that we've come to love and that we just expect sites to do. With this tracking blocking, you're going to lose like at least like 40% of that instantly gone just like that, simply because we can't track you. So we don't know who you are. So guess what? You have to fill all this stuff out again because we don't know who you is. So,
Chris,
yeah.
So to understand this a little, just breaking it down just a little bit more, essentially, like if we were to go onto a website, we're a guest, we haven't actually made an account, we're like setting items up into a cart. That's essentially using the same thing, or is it slightly different?
Some things are session based, so I mean, you can be. It doesn't matter too much. Like if it's just one session, well, I would say like tracking would be, yeah, like it would be if you have a cart, you're not logged in as a guest, and then you leave the site and then you come back, then yes, that will be a tracking thing. If for it to still be there, we would need to know who you are. We would need to track you and to know that when you come back to the site, oh, okay, well, this is you. That's done by cookies. So you just have a little cookie on your computer, and then when you come back, we check to say, hey, do you have a cookie? Like, oh yeah, I have a cookie, and like, okay, well, is there anything in this cookie? And it'll have all the information about. It can have saved data and stuff like that. But typically, what happens is personal information isn't really saved in cookies. That's a bad thing. If it is, it's encrypted. But again, most of the like I said, that new lawsuit that in the EU that just destroys all of that, because that limits our ability to do a lot of that. So that's going to be an issue. I don't know how the like there are a lot of people trying to figure out ways around it. They have figured out ways around it, but it's just like a cat and mouse game, because I mean, you do that, they're just going to find another way to track you. That's all that's going to happen. It's like trying to stop a hacker from hacking your system. Like, you can protect yourself as much as you like, but if they really want to do it, they will. Like, that's just how it is. It's only so much you can do to like protect yourself. And as is, tracking isn't really dangerous, because if you want to, like, companies are kind of strong-armed and forced to do it ethically, because of, like I said, people like Google who are out there saying that if you do this unethically and you do not like abide by these guidelines, then we're going to drop support for you. We're not going to they'll remove you from search. They'll pause all of your AdWords campaigns. They will honestly drop support for you. So with someone big like Google doing something like that, it's not as dangerous or scary as a thing as a lot of these outlets try to make out. They're like, oh, they're tracking you and all, they know have all this information about you. Yeah, but they don't have, it's not on like an individual basis. It literally gets lost inside of like this literal, it's every time I pull data, I'm always like, okay, delete all this stuff because I don't need this. Like, all of this is just like, it's just ridiculous, because it's just like, I don't like, it's literally just a mass of just numbers. There are no names. It's just numbers and letters and just codes and stuff like that. And there's not much, it's very difficult to use that in order to like hurt someone with, or like pick out and be like, oh, hey, Jennifer did this, or, you know, Michael did this, or Michael's looking at this.
So what happens in cases like, I'm going to use Adobe here because I know they actually use this as one of their backbone systems for building websites, where you essentially can personalize a website based on what people are looking for on said website. They then generate that same hash key that you mentioned, and they can essentially, and they did show me an example of this when I saw like a demo of it, but they essentially said that you can take that same information, sell it to someone, or give it to another website, and then it kind of moves the information along. And so you can kind of get like a more personalized experience across the web, but at the same point, is that not a little unethical that you're selling customers' data? Even though it's not, how should I put it? It's not saying like, this is Chris, this is Vicquell, but essentially it's still selling your information.
And that's kind of like what Facebook does. Like I said, what happens is you're not getting a person. What you're getting is a list of people who are interested in a certain topic. That's what you're getting. That is it. That's all you're getting. And you're getting eyeballs. That's it. You're not getting the actual data. You're just getting like, so for example, if Adobe knows that, okay, well, you're interested in shoes, and then like my company come along and we're like, oh, hey, we want to market this ad to all of these people, like to everyone who you have who are interested in shoes. Adobe be like, okay, cool. You give us the ad, and then we'll now just show this ad to all these different people who we know are interested in shoes. That's how they get around that. So I'm not ever getting your data. Like that's never how. Like I'm not ever touching your data. I'm not ever seeing your data as an advertiser. I'm not ever seeing any of it. I'm not ever touching it. I can't even like manipulate that or even see who's who. The only thing that I know is I'm trusting that Adobe's data is good, or that they are like, you know, whatever the list is accurate, and they are now funneling the people who I want to see my ad to see it. That's it.
So why would companies
That's how
like
that's all.
Apple and Mozilla essentially start building up stuff to stop tracking?
Because there are a lot of fair campaigns going about. I don't know why. Like honestly, the entire industry was pissed when Apple did that, because it was just completely out of that field. It was like, okay, you're making it so much harder for us to give a good actual good experience to your customers. Like you're literally doing it. So we literally had to go. There were literally workarounds where a lot of advertisers and stuff like that had to go about like Criteo. Criteo is a major cross-platform and remarketing advertiser. I think they're the top right now in that in that field. And they had to like make a workaround for it. It was a big thing. A lot of people were concerned about it, simply because that's the main way a lot of people market, like retarget. So like if you come on their site, they would tag you, and then when you leave their site, that's how you would see like ads about that site and stuff like that. And typically I structure it in a way where it wouldn't happen for someone who just like drop on the site. I kind of would like more intent from it, but that's how I set up my campaigns. Not everyone sets up their campaign like that. Some people just set up their campaign and they care. They're like, oh, you jump on a site, we'll throw all our ads at you. I don't think that's great, but I think that it kind of shows that people don't really respond well to that. But some companies just don't care. Like they don't really look into their stats and the performance of those ads and then tailor it and like whittle it down. That's what should happen, but a lot of companies don't do that. And it doesn't pay off. Like, I mean, they're just wasting their money at that point, because if you're just shooting your ad at anyone who comes on your site, then a lot of them probably weren't interested. They may just have been like, oh, hey, what's this? Okay, I don't like it, and then left. And now all of a sudden, now you're sending them ads, they're not going to click. You're literally so you're just wasting your money. Like, you're just wasting money showing these people ads, especially if you're paying on impressions. Like, that's just terrible. But most people play on clicks, so I guess they wouldn't care or wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but essentially the answer to the question is, no one's getting access to your data. They're literally pretty much getting a list that you're on, like a little bundle. You're in a group of people who are interested in this thing, and then they serve your ads to that person. So you would get served that ad because you end up on a list. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So, just before we move on too far, welcome to the show, Selena. Welcome and thanks for the follows. Paul McCalson and Winning Spy. Just as a quick thing, we were just talking about pretty much ad blocking and ad tracking and seeing like what's the difference, and are they really like negative for us? Are they beneficial? Like, how does that really work out? Though we do want to switch gears a little bit, because you do have some other topics, and I do want to ask you guys, how do you feel about wearing your phones like as clothing, essentially? I know we've had things like the smartwatches and stuff like that, but what if you didn't have to pair it with your phone? What if it actually was your phone, like you did everything on this one device? How would you guys feel about that?
Let's just, I mean, we might also just make a chip and embed it into our skin one time. No? Let's keep phones. Let's keep the actual physical phone. I don't know. This is something about like
having the physical phone.
Yeah, having a physical phone.
Yeah. So I'd have my watch on, but I would still, most of the time, I look on my phone.
Yeah. I don't think it'll have the same functionality. I think you're going to lose functionality by making it wearable.
Especially like screen size and trying to type on that screen, so you're gonna have to dictate what you want to type. Yes. Then everybody else gonna hear what you're gonna say. So that means like if you're saying something out of the way, everybody's gonna know.
So there is this phone that came out, the Nubia Alpha. I'm going to show the video for it in actually just a sec.
It's a concept, right?
Yeah, it's a concept.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna mute that. But yeah.
Like I could see so many problems with this already. Like, oh man. Whew. Whew. Let me run down I could run down all the list of problems with this.
For starters,
That's a terrible idea.
for starters, winning spy, you are right. Like the first thing that came to mind was Apple, especially when we got to like, well, it's more the marketing element of like how this looks, and then the back of it like that. It looks Apple-ish to me. Vicky, you have an Apple Watch, so what's looking at this like? What is your take on this this device?
I think I actually didn't take the video. Try to get a little snippet of it again. Yeah. Okay.
So let me just play the little snippet right here. So this is showing the band, apparently steel band. I'm guessing it's going to be working along the same kind of flexible display design that Samsung's working on, and that's probably the concept very similar to what Samsung may do with their watches in the future.
Wait.
That is a good use of a flexible display. I'll be on board with that as a use of a flexible display for like watches like that.
Yeah. The thing that
phones?
gets me though,
no flip phones, baby. We don't really know flip phone.
like
I don't know why you're trying to make this happen, but stop trying to make that happen.
there's this one part of it, like I'm trying to find it. This essentially shows like find my phone. And it's weird because if this is supposed to be your phone, why would you still
phone? Why are you finding your phone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right there.
That's because they don't even believe in it, man. That's why. Even they know that they can't replace a phone.
That screen is like super tiny to even try type on one because it's like really slim.
You can't type. You can't do work.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not reading my email on that.
No.
Yep. That means the content is going to be jumbled up together and I slide down.
Secondly, you only can take selfies, boy. Like you could imagine you trying to take a shot of like, oh hey, take this landscape, and then if you like turn your hand like this, and then all of a sudden now, guess what? You can't even see what you're taking a picture of anymore. Like, nah, there's no way that can replace a phone. It's impossible.
Also, like, sure, they have water-resistant smartwatches now, but at the same point, this has a lens for starters, so that's a way for water to get in.
That piece right there at the bottom, like a charging port, whatever.
Well,
it is,
no, this is probably
a
a
make
button.
those things water resistant, though. I mean, come on, we have lenses on our phone, and we have ports on our phone, and we have water resistant phones. So that's a moot point.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
But it isn't really great water resistant.
And then what happens when that camera starts to mist up?
I've seen people take underwater photos with their Samsungs.
But they're not supposed to, like.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like when you drop it into a tub or something.
You can go to a certain depth and take your picture and bring it back out. Of course, you're going to be swimming around with your Samsung phone in the water. Like, of course not.
Inside salt water? Oh, you imagine salt water damage on that?
Here's a little bit of a story. The very first Samsung phone to come out with water, like the water resistance. The waterproof. Yes, it was the Active. It was a waterproof device originally. Their underwater mode actually had someone diving. Like, you could actually see the tank on the back. So it had to be the ocean. It looked like the ocean, so on and so forth. I put that thing in a bucket of water and just pressed it, like, tried to take some photos. And that all I saw were bubbles just starting to come up from it. So yeah, I have no faith in these water resistance, waterproof devices. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah, me either. Like, even though my watch is supposed to be like water resistant, nah, I don't bid with it. I don't take with me if I go in the water to like a pool or
The
beach or anything.
Samsung rules? Oh, Jesus, Selena, you're in bad company. Because no one likes Samsung. I lie. I would not get Samsung for myself, but I actually like them as a company now. I have to take that back.
Samsung's done
I
I think
really
they're
well
the
for
best phone
themselves.
company right now.
Yeah.
They're the best phone company in the West right now. Hands
Are you
down.
saying this because Google went notch? Google went
No,
totally
no,
notch and then they lost all
Even
that
if Google,
vision?
Samsung
even if
has
Google still had their vision, I would still say Samsung is a better company than Google, simply because Samsung has listened to their customers.
Yep.
Samsung has made an amazing phone. Hands down, my only issue is why I will not get Samsung is literally their software. That's the only holdup I have from Samsung. They
The
have a
TouchWiz.
beautiful phone. The phone is beautiful. The screen is gorgeous. The hardware is top notch. They have the headphone jack. They don't have a notch. I'm like, they have external storage. I mean, they have everything that you'd want on a phone. Like literally, it's
and
just their
some of the
software.
best
TouchWiz,
cameras
I
out
don't-
there.
I'm like,
So
literally.
that
So,
phones look like the movie 007 and other movies. It cost me money. Get a phone like that, guys. I don't know. Like, I feel like if I'm walking somewhere with this, I'm going to get the same kind of impressions that people gave people after a while when they start walking around with Google Glass. It's like, we don't really want you walking around here, because then you could be taking photos of us or videos of us and without us really knowing. It doesn't seem like there's really a light to say that they're recording or anything like that. That's
Oh, you mean this? This watch?
yeah, this watch.
You can't take no. I already explained. They're like this. They taking a picture of you
Yeah.
because that's the only thing they could do. Like, I mean, come on, it's so obvious, but like, it's like,
But I mean, even if you're just doing it like this and like you're just recording or whatever, you can still technically record and rotate it
Listen,
however you want. It's
I
gonna
can tell
be
you right
crap,
now,
but you can
you
still do
know
it.
what you take. You don't know what you're recording when you're doing this. You're doing this. You don't know what you're recording right now, and your wrist is a very flexible. Like you see how that turn. You see how that turns? Nah. You don't know what you're recording. That is a terrible nah. For taking, like, trust me, I used to do photography. Taking pictures, that is terrible. You have no control over that. You can't see. Like, you literally have to be like, that ain't gonna work. Like,
Imagine the quality from that, and then I gotta have to position the screen for when you launch the camera.
and then how you can see to like press the thing to like take the picture?
Touche.
Voice
So-
commands? Then you definitely know someone is
Yeah.
taking a picture.
But this apparently is made by Nubia, the place that pretty much gave us one of the gaming phones that came out earlier this year, which is a spin-off of ZTE. It's kind of interesting that they're trying to go for this. I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about this.
Wait,
guys.
hold on. So you might actually get that watch over a phone? I would never. Like, you lose so much functionality. Selfies alone would be a pain.
I wouldn't do that. Like, I honestly wouldn't suggest you get a phone that's a watch.
Smartwatch. I just don't see that happening.
For starters, the battery life on this thing is going to be horrible. You're gonna maybe get like 3-4 hours max, especially when you start taking a look at the size of the screen.
LTE services.
Like just to cover the screen with this and actually make sure that it's processing everything fast enough for you to actually like answer a phone call, be able to record. I mean, this battery pack already looks like it's going to be very chunky, and that's nowhere the size of a smartphone battery. So add in possible Bluetooth.
It's not even my ideal watch.
Yeah, exactly. Snapchat is out. Like you probably will not be able to run full-fledged apps on this thing.
Snapchat been out though, so I mean,
Yeah, I'm waiting on them to like completely die out.
no, they dead. They just haven't realized that they dead yet.
Well, I mean, they just came out with 2 new glasses that kind
Yeah,
of like
Still
are
trying
low
to
key.
crawl
thing.
out of the grave. You know, like you trying to like throw dirt right in the grave, and they trying to like crawl out like a zombie. And it's like Snapchat. Hold on, Facebook killed you a long time. Y'all should have taken that deal from Facebook because y'all turned on Facebook and Facebook. Facebook dissed them so hard. Jeez.
Instagram really killing them, especially with like the little easy to navigate question things that they have now.
That's
Yeah.
true. And
Right.
then you've got Instagram stories, and now you also have Instagram TV. So yeah, you kind of. And then their Instagram, they're also talking about like having some separate app where you can buy stuff that I'm guessing are on, like, people who promote on Instagram. So yeah, like, I'm not so sure about that anymore. You know, Selena. Like, Snapchat is
Everyone's on Instagram. People
yeah.
ask via Instagram now. They don't even ask via Facebook anymore. They ask via Instagram. Like teens, that's what like kids do. Like they like, oh, what's your Instagram? Like what? Jesus.
You might be buy an Xbox One game, then get a phone because it costs a lot of money.
You gotta be trolling. Who wants to get an Xbox One?
I know, right?
Best day in time.
Like, if you got money
Sony
to blow
Nation.
just for that, like, just wait for the PS5.
No, I would say wait out and let's see what happens with this next gen, because if Sony keeps with their no cross play, that PS5 ain't selling. I can tell you that now. They'll have to come with such a strong list of like such a strong lineup of exclusives, but that ain't gonna sell. I don't think that could save them in next gen.
Disappearing stories, hiding from parents. That's what Selena's saying. Well, that's technically what Instagram stories are about as well. Like, you can...
Yeah, they stay for 24 hours and then gone.
Yeah, so it runs basically on the same concept.
Yep. And Facebook. And Facebook Messenger.
And I think WhatsApp gives you control of seeing who even sees your stories.
Yeah, you can choose like which persons on your contact list could see it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you really want to like send nudes or something like that, you know, there are better ways to do it than Snapchat nowadays.
That's what Snapchat was originally for.
Yes,
they should have just stick.
Yeah.
They should have just stick to their original MO way. Oh man, they just tried to branch out.
Well, they had to do that, otherwise.
Right?
Was what?
Boo or something along that line. What's like
what, their mascot?
No, their original name before they changed it to Snapchat. I'm gonna check right now.
Oh, I don't remember. I always knew Snapchat.
Yeah.
Snapchat.
I don't remember that.
Original name right here. And
so while Vicky's trying to find this this older name for Snapchat, essentially,
Peekaboo.
like,
That's what it was. They were called Peekaboo when they first launched, and then they changed it.
Oh.
Peekaboo, I see you. Yeah.
Snapchat rating in the App Store is 2.2 stars. Gee. Yeah,
wow.
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 Wait, I've never seen an app be under 3, but like an official app be under 3. Wow.
I don't even know what to say about that. I'll be quite honest. But I mean, when you really think about it as well, like, really and truly, Snapchat was sure it was a place where teens went to share their nudes, but at the same point they couldn't keep that active. They actually had to change their model because they wanted to still be viable. You know how Apple goes when anything comes around, and Google is very similar with that. They will shut that down.
You know how
quick.
we know Snapchat dying? The prostitutes left Snapchat. That's how we know that dying.
Michael, say what happened to Michael season?
Gone?
Michael
Snapchat ain't gone? Snapchat ain't pulling in no more. Gone? They leave that from long time. Everyone on Instagram now.
Whew. Well, we're gonna leave that topic. That's getting a little hot.
You know who ain't hot? Snapchat. Oh, but they losing members like by the like thousands, man. After Rihanna pulled that stunt, oh man, that was painful. Oh, that was oof.
But I mean, yeah, you have Rihanna. You have a lot of also creators that have just simply left and move over to Instagram as well.
But you know what it is to tell your fans to leave though? Like that's the thing though. Whew.
Well, Selena,
stats prove that Snapchat is dying. They're losing like their membership, their user count is dropping every month. They're not building it back up.
She's talking about our market.
Our market.
Our market. I don't know about our market because we don't have stats on our market. Our market is so horrible to get stats for.
And then like most people over here have like Android devices, so their snaps look like also distorted. When you just go on Instagram and Instagram actually captures your snaps via the camera.
Have they fixed the Android?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
It's still using screen recording.
To go. Another reason to just hop on Instagram.
Yeah.
The same pull that iOS devices get.
Yeah, because Snapchat records your screen on Android, while it actually records using the camera for iOS. Which is the reason
iOS.
Snapchat, as well, people have always said, "Oh, the pictures on Androids look like crap." It's because they're looking at Snapchat stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on Instagram, it actually shows you what the things look like as they were taken. So, yeah, that's another reason, like Vicky was saying. But moving away from that topic as well, we have some slightly concerning news. People are actually starting to find ways to use your smartphone's microphone and speaker to essentially create a sonar type effect. So it uses the speakers to generate a inaudible frequency that the microphone can pick up on, but we can't. So if you were to download an application that uses this particular how should I put it, exploit.
Ooh, it's like a thing from Dark Knight.
Yeah, pretty much. So you install this app, and it's called a side channel attack inside the info security world. And the app that they're using, this is called Sonar Snoop. This is essentially some researchers that started to take a look at this. Winning Spy is saying where I lived, people getting pushed over for texting while driving. Pulled over. Well, I mean that should be the case, like, just period. Because then you're putting other people's lives at risk. But essentially what they're saying is, instead of brute forcing passwords or patterns or pins and stuff like that, essentially what you get, or even like looking over someone's shoulder, like we actually had a conversation about this in one of our chats like a few weeks ago, with like people memorizing people's passwords and this kind of thing. Essentially, you don't even need to do that anymore. So what this does is you just install the app on their phone, just if you can get access to it or something like that, or you give them the app and they think it's a legitimate app, they install it, and you go on from there. It uses the acoustic signature based on where it senses your finger is, because it's pretty much surrounding your phone in a bubble of sound. And so using that, it's actually really interesting.
It's just echolocation that's circulated on your phone. That's all it is.
Yeah, pretty much. And so from this research document that they actually pulled up for this, they said that for patterns, for example, even though there are about 440,000 different possible patterns that you can get on the standard 3x3 dot pattern that Android has, people typically use about 12, which is really sad when you really think about it. And I'm showing you guys what those patterns look like right here. Okay.
Let me see my pattern on there.
This is so true. When I have my Android, I use about 2 of those patterns.
Mine ain't there.
I had the Z one, the third one to the top, on the top row. Yeah, and then I had the one all the way to the bottom right, number 12.
Yep. So essentially, what it does is it uses the echolocation to essentially figure out and make it about 70 times faster for you to pretty much brute force into which one of these patterns it actually is, instead of having to go through. So instead of having to go through 440,000 different unlocks, you're essentially getting 3, and it actually rounds it down to about 3.6. That it rounds it down to a possible match out of that much. So you are getting a supremely good method to unlock it.
Nah, because I use my fingerprint. So
well, yeah. So with people moving to fingerprint and facial unlocking, essentially technologies like this won't work unless, of course, you're using something like passwords, and you're typing in your passwords to your bank account, your email address, this kind of thing. And
I use my fingerprint there as well.
Yep.
I use keychain.
Not everyone does, though, and that's the problem.
They they should start.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not gonna
I
remember
mean,
all those passwords.
like what you want to do, like, exactly, but I don't have time
You
to
got
remember all the
keychain, you
passwords.
got one pass, you got LastPass.
Pass.
Decide on which one you want to use.
Exactly.
I
That's
use
it.
LastPass, but
I use it too. Well, I used to use it. I don't use it personally anymore. I use it for work, but not for my personal use.
but essentially, and this is an example of it right here. Even with it having a back speaker, a speaker in the back, a microphone on the bottom, it essentially is creating the sound from the top, sound from the bottom, using both to get the echolocation and figure out where your finger is on this. And if you forgot your password, then you probably should, set up something so that you can get access to your account again.
I mean, honestly, and then even when it is the case, I'm such a fan of two-factor authentication. That was amazing, man. Like, whoever thought about that, great job.
It really honestly has saved me a ton of time, especially because
when you have the option to turn it off and on at your free will, because I currently don't.
Yeah.
What, two-factor?
Yeah, I remember Apple updated their stuff, so
you
once
don't
you
have
turn
a
on
choice.
two-factor authentication and it's been on for like 2 weeks, it's permanently on. You don't have a choice to turn it off no more.
Yep.
Oh, I just don't like when it's so difficult to change that second. Like, it was someone, I can't remember who it was, but I was trying to change it, and they was like, "Oh, we sent this number, this code. Use that in order to remove it." Pause. I don't have the phone anymore. I don't have my number anymore. I can't access this text. That's why I'm trying to change it. Assholes. And it's like they refuse, and it's like, oh, like I hate that. Like, that is terrible.
That is
like, if I have one piece, let me change it, please.
But that is part of the problem with SMS as a two-factor authentication method. Like, you should be using something like Authy or.
Oh, but that's the thing. Some people allow you to change it like easily. Like, they don't have that thing where it's like, oh, we'll send this thing a code and then use this code to remove it. No, send me an email or send me, like, there are multiple ways that you can, like, confirm that it's me. So you don't have to stick to, oh, we have to always send this number a code so you could remove that same number. I don't have access to that number anymore.
Yep.
And they should have prompted you with the option, be like, oh, I don't have this phone anymore, and then let you put in a new number.
They should, but they don't care.
Well, we don't have that option. It's either
That's because they don't
SMS.
We already established that Apple don't care about its users.
You got like the pop-up that comes up on your devices, and then that's about it. Or you get to call. I'm just gonna call and give you the number.
They don't care about you. Just like how that company, I can't remember which company it was, they didn't care about me and their customers when I had the issue. We had to literally send, oh man, that was such a pain to deal with. Such a pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sonar thing is pretty, I mean, it's cool.
It's cool, but at the same point, like, it does raise some security issues. Like, this essentially can be a legitimate reason why, like, places like the United States actually had some concerns when it came to phones from the Chinese. So, for example, Huawei actually, I believe it was Huawei.
But it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, even if you, because even if, whoa,
so
Facebook ads, I don't care.
Neither care.
Facebook cares somewhat. Apple does not care at all. But even if you visit a site, I mean, they could, like, still, if your ads up and you don't have an ad blocker, which a lot of people don't have ad blockers on their mobile browsers, you could still end up with all type of stuff on your phone, and they could still do the same thing. So
actually, hold on. So this raises some other questions. I mean, but going back to the Sonar stuff. For starters, let me just finish my point with the Chinese devices.
That's what we've been
on. Essentially, their gallery app turned into a spamware app, and so if they can essentially change their apps, put in a backdoor version of or something, just like adding it in, essentially they can be getting information into whatever account, well, in whatever phone or email address or whatever it is that they want to. But I mean, most of these companies, they kind of live by their, if the word gets out that they're doing crap, it's going to become a problem.
Exactly.
So they have to be very careful if they were to do something like that.
But China don't care though.
Right.
But the thing is, you can always wipe the phones. That's my thing. It's like you can get the phone, you can wipe it, and install your own OS on it. Go ahead and do that.
That depends,
like you can do that.
though. Not you can't do that with every single phone because you actually have to have someone build the OS if you want to run custom on it.
Okay.
So,
but I mean, it's not difficult to get a custom Android ROM, and it's not difficult to get like custom builds for like a lot of devices simply because you have enthusiasts out there who do this for fun. So how hard it is to pay someone to just, hey, let's just make this and government Android OS for us, and then you get whatever phone and we just load this on your phone.
I think that's what they're doing with some of the Android phones that they currently have.
So I mean, that's all they need to do.
But at the same point, like my mind is now going on to what about like we have websites that are essentially mining for Bitcoin and other stuff like that.
And, still doing that,
yeah, I literally went to a website earlier this week and I went to the bottom and they said, we will use 30% of your computer's processing power while on this website for mining purposes. If you do not feel comfortable with this, leave. And I'm like, one, wow, that's kind of like biggity of you for starters. Two, so if we were to just move that a little bit further.
All day, no script all day, no script.
Then what if there was something that, I mean, granted, places like, well, browsers like Chrome and whatnot will actually like prompt you to say, do you want this website to be able to access your video and webcam? So video, well, your webcam and microphone. If you were to say yes, though, could it not essentially do the same thing? And if you have it in the background, log information about other websites that you'd be going to or passwords and stuff like that?
Yeah, possibly could. Possibly.
Like, there's a lot that Sonar could technically do when you really think about it. And I mean, this is what part of why I'm paranoid.
All this boils down to fingerprint readers on everything.
Yep.
Fingerprint readers on laptops, fingerprint readers on your phone, fingerprint readers everywhere.
This is why I have a fingerprint reader on my laptop. But then, like, what about things like ATMs and credit card scanners? Because essentially, if you have to press in numbers, they have individual like.
Do all of that. Do your online banking online.
Like,
let's go cashless.
There's so much
nice. No, we could just use the wallet app and just let them scan it and call it a day. If only we could upgrade that much.
Boy, I know when Google Pay is gonna actually start. Well, Google Pay and Apple Pay will actually come to countries like this.
And the banks.
Whenever the banks start supporting it, that's when they're gonna.
Exactly.
It's not them. It's our banks.
It's the banks.
And our banks are doing crap, at least here. Like the main banks, like in Canada and whatnot, they have this stuff working fine.
Yeah, there's people down here. They have to get the infrastructure and the system. They have to set up their system in order to do it because they're on a different system.
And after places of these accept credit cards or debit cards.
I straight have a PayPal. I good. Anyway. And that is amazing. My PayPal is treating me better than my bank is treating me. But my PayPal is telling me every single time, listen, hey, this amount of money was charged from PayPal. Oh no, don't do that. Oh,
what? Wait, what?
No, sorry. My voice. I thought I was trying to give it a voice command, and I was like, I'm not giving you a voice command. Don't do nothing. Stop that.
So Selena's saying that the problem is that our people don't trust e-commerce, and the prime example is RBC with the Royal Bank of Canada. They're lines.
Hold on, the same RBC who talk about, oh, hey, we going online only. RBC need to stop with their foolishness. Way, just come with the most garbage. Way, RBC and talk about, oh, we going online only soon. RBC, y'all ATM inside Cable Beach branch. That one has had do not accept deposits for like at least 8 months. at least 8 months that
Hold
had
on.
we don't accept deposits.
But hold on.
Go online only.
Hold on. How long does it generally take you to actually get access to your online account with RBC? Last time I checked, it took you like I had someone that took them like 2 months before they got access. And that was with them
trying to get my mom's account sorted out from like last year, and I have not gotten that sorted as yet. I don't know what's taking them so long, but they just can't seem to get it right.
See, and people don't trust it because these companies like RBC and stuff like that, when they try to do these things, they do it half-stepping. Like that whole we trying to go online. You can't go fully online if you have simple things like your ATMs don't even properly work. Your ATM's always down. Like, I mean, how you expect to work? That don't make no sense. But people like CIBC, I've been thinking about switching to CIBC now for a while, simply because I realized, or I found out from my friend, he was like, CIBC's app does the same thing that my PayPal app does. Anytime money is taken from that account, they alert you.
Yeah.
I can tell you, people will trust that. People talk about all the time about people take it from my account, this and that. If you had an app on your phone and I told you every time money is moved from your account, trust me, you'd love that. I don't know any Bahamian who would not like that.
It also have where you could set it for like a cap on your account. So if your account drops lower than a certain amount, then it's not gonna let you charge anything.
People don't trust e-commerce because the banks implement those things sillily. Like they don't implement with sense. Like no one else does it like how they do it. And it's like, they think, we doing it our way. No. There's a reason why other people do it. Like they do it this way for a reason. Oh my goodness. Stop half-stepping these things.
Some of the people over here are really interested in the whole technology era. Most of the persons like, they want to see their money physically to be transferred to their account.
I think once things happen, and it will take some time. I don't know why.
No. You just change things and you make them change. That's what you do. Like Apple.
Yeah. You pretty much have to make it happen. Push it on your people. Just push it.
Just push it on them. Don't give them a choice. Don't give them a choice. Like my problem with RBC wasn't them going online only. My problem was them going online only in the state that they're in. Like they're not in a state where they can do that. Like if Scotia said that, I wouldn't have said anything. If CIBC said that, I wouldn't have said anything. Simply because they just have they have enough in place where like, okay, cool, because I do most of your stuff online or through the app anyway. Yeah. I don't go to Scotia Bank. I don't walk in there at all. I don't need to walk in there.
I do wish Scotia's app though was better. Like,
yes, I do. I agree.
That's one thing I can say about Royal Bank app is the UI sense of it. It's pretty good.
No, I don't care about your UI. I care about your functionality.
Yeah.
Comparing it to like,
you could look like garbage, but you need to have the right.
Comparing Royal Bank to CIBC's app, I like some of the features that CIBC have, but I like how Royal Bank one is like more organized and simplified and easy for you to use.
Well, what you prefer? You prefer actually know when money's taken off your account or not? Because CIBCs do that.
I mean, I use both, so
I prefer that any day. I think that trumps any. I don't care how pretty your app is. Yeah, but that's still two different accounts. Someone could go and someone could thief all that money off your RBC account, and you would never know. You would know
because I always have to. Like if I have people talking, this happened with RBC, I have to log on to see what's happening. And that's one thing I like about CIBC's account. That's one of the features I like, that they automatically notify me like when something happens to my account.
And I think that's something that is a fundamental and crucial feature that's way more important than design. Like there's a certain features that is way more important than design. And once you have those fundamental features, then you can branch out and be like, okay, well, let's make this thing prettier. Like design-wise, all you need is something that's functional, not confusing, and that's very straightforward. Once you have that, then you work on your functionality, and then you pretty up stuff. Once you have your functionality.
RBC still in the working and functionality stage. They need to add some more features. Like when I found out that TIBC had that, I just thought like, wow, RBC ain't had this yet.
And the thing with RBC and Scotia, and this is kind of annoying me, both of them, RBC and Scotia, is like y'all have the main big banks in Canada and the Canadian apps. They're great. They're amazing.
Oh my goodness. Better.
Just copy that. You already have it. It's literally yours. It's literally your own. Just copy it. Oh my goodness. That was driving me up a wall. That was driving me up a Scotia. I'm like, Scotia, you already have the app. Just copy it.
There's so much stuff that Scotia has in Canada. Like,
just put our accounts on there. let us use it and let us access it. Oh man, ugh, I can't deal with them.
But the fact that Scotia is quite literally just like, at least here, quite literally just a website that you're going to. It's just using a container essentially. Like,
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
like you don't get notifications for any, like pretty much all the features that you guys mentioned don't happen on Scotia's app.
Scotia is literally just a web app. Like
Yeah.
literally just
Like,
a web app.
This
No,
is
it's their app.
this is like,
still in their mobile site.
Let's not even talk about Commonwealth Bank.
what is the cheapest way we can make an app?
we don't even bring them out in this discussion. Commonwealth Bank, BOB, they're immediately casted out of this discussion.
Commonwealth Bank ABMs? I feel like I walking in the store when I go on the ATMs.
I just feel like in the Stone Age, just simply talking about Commonwealth Bank, boy. My mom has worked at Commonwealth Bank. My sister's worked at Commonwealth Bank. I have worked at Commonwealth Bank before, and I tell people, don't bank with Commonwealth Bank. Like, it's all of us just tell people that. Nah, I don't mess with Commonwealth Bank. Commonwealth Bank don't like y'all. Commonwealth Bank don't like their customers. They do not.
No.
They actively work against their customers.
The fees alone work against you.
Jesus, man, their thing of department though on point.
I don't think
They
they like experience any fees, but then
Oh
again,
no, their fees are high.
their fees are high.
Then
Fees are
again,
highest.
are you just
Yeah.
like throwing money on my Commonwealth account and I don't bother with it?
And Commonwealth Bank will not hesitate to pull money off your account.
No.
They will not.
They will
will
put
not
you
hesitate
into
to
a
do that.
negative if they can.
Just to pull money off your account. They
Yeah.
do not care.
I know if you leave it inactive for a while, they'll be quick to yuck that money off your account and put that in their account. Or put that in their bank area or wherever. Anyway, wherever they keep their personal money, they'd be quick to take your money and throw it in there.
Exactly.
Sure, Commonwealth Bank. Their collections department though is off the chains.
Well, of course, because they want that money.
They have the best collection department on the island. I don't think any other bank have a better collection department than Commonwealth Bank. Their collection department recovery. Ooh.
Anyway, guys, that's this episode of MOAR Tech. I'd like to thank everyone that came on and joined as a commenter, along with the two persons that decided to give us a follow. Selena, thank you for tagging some people inside here as well and actually being a part of the conversation. And
Hi, Selena, if you're still there.
And I'd also like to thank my two co-hosts, Chris and Vicky, for coming on. Do you guys want to say anything before we head off?
Not really.
Don't prescribe the wearable phones.
Wow. I
Like, I don't mind like smartwatches, but I think to be walking around with just wearing a watch that's gonna active, that's gonna basically work completely as your phone. Nah.
No, I'm good. I'm good, love.
Like, we closer to phones replacing computers than we are to us watch replacing a phone.
We have a phone. The Note 9 essentially can replace a computer for basic usage.
Basically, yeah, like
Maybe
PowerPoint
basic
and stuff like that
usage,
as well.
Yeah, because
Maybe.
you could run
Maybe.
like all the Microsoft
Maybe.
Office stuff on it, and you can play
You
games on
got
it
your
and
little
stuff like that.
stylus.
Maybe.
What do you mean? You can quite literally just plug a HDMI cord into the phone, like a mini HDMI cord into it using an adapter, and put it into a monitor, and it turns it into it actually.
The reason why I
That's the
say
best.
maybe is because file organization is terrible on phones, so.
That's true.
No, that's a maybe. You can't work from your it's difficult to work from there, especially when you work on proprietary like files and stuff like that. No. File organization is terrible. Once they solve that, then yeah, I would say something like the Note 9 you just replace with.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's us for this week. We'll be back with Esports Wrap next week Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and next week Thursday we'll be back with another episode of MOAR Tech at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. If you missed any part of this episode, do keep an eye out on our YouTube, which is MOAR Cookies. So youtube.com/MOAR Cookies, and you can watch the entire recorded episode minus our technical glitches from earlier on. And if you want in the podcast version, just go and check your favorite podcast app and you'll find all our past episodes and eventually this one as well. So yeah, until next time, take care.